The genocide in Kosovo hits home for local Jews who survived the Holocaust.
Also coming up, investors keep their eyes on Wall Street, hoping to continue yesterday's record-breaking day.
Stay with us. 22 News at 6 is next.
22, the news leader. Now, live, working for you throughout Western Massachusetts, this is 22 News at 6.
As the NATO airstrikes against the former Yugoslavia continue, President Clinton says the United States and its allies are outraged over what's happening there. Good evening. Welcome to 22 News at 6. I'm Brenda Garten.
And I'm Barry Krieger. It is day 7 of Operation Allied Force, and there's still no movement toward peace. Airstrikes are being conducted around the clock, and there are new and alarming reports of atrocities involving ethnic Albanians. Today, President Clinton says there is a strong consensus in NATO for continuing the airstrikes. We have the very latest information on what's happening now from reporter Keith Oppenheim. He joins us live from Washington, D.C. for the very latest with 22 News. The Russians and Yugoslavs have been talking, but so far the talk has produced more rhetoric than actual change. Yugoslav President Slobodan Milosevic says he would be willing to make a deal, but so far no one from NATO seems to like it. Russian Prime Minister Yevgeny Primakov says the Serbs are ready to negotiate. He says Yugoslav President Slobodan Milosevic would reduce the Serb military presence in Kosovo and create the conditions for what he called the return of peaceful refugees if NATO stops airstrikes and an embargo against Yugoslavia is lifted.
Milosevic is ready in case airstrikes are stopped to settle all issues by political means.
NATO officials continue to say that airstrikes will ultimately stop violence in the region, but it is a military action that must be given time to be successful.
There has not been a knockout punch. We knew that a knockout punch would not come quickly. We're in now to the 7th day. I think it will take much longer to degrade the forces as much as we think we need to do.
So far, there is little sign airstrikes have diminished the problems in Kosovo. By the thousands, ethnic Albanians are leaving the province to neighboring Albania, Macedonia, and Montenegro, and those who are trying to help the refugees believe this flow of people, along with the horror stories they bring, could go on for some time.
The pattern that emerges is that of violence, expulsion, sometimes even summary executions and rape. And we have to expect more people, as I said, tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands, and we're certainly facing the biggest emergency we've seen in Europe since the Bosnian War.
Thursday, President Clinton goes to Norfolk, Virginia to meet the families of sailors and Marines involved in the NATO airstrikes. Reporting live in Washington, I'm Keith Oppenheim. Now back to you. All right, thanks, Keith. The stories from Kosovo of families being hunted down and murdered just because of their ethnic backgrounds has special resonance for local residents who survived the Holocaust. A middle school class from Westfield visited the Hatikvah Holocaust Education Center in Springfield today. Jerry Steinberg survived the war as a child by hiding out in farms in Poland. He says the news from Kosovo sound all too familiar.
It certainly does when you see young children, being separated from their parents. And you read about, the killing that's going on.
It's so hard to imagine that in 1999 we're going into the millennium and things like this still happen, that we can never learn from history, that history keeps repeating itself.
Also today at the Hatikvah, David Cohen and Donald Gosselin told of their experiences as U.S. soldiers who liberated a concentration camp. For the last 12 years, they have been telling their story and showing their pictures to school classes and to other groups.
Kosovo isn't the only international hotspot. Today, more than 400 members of the Connecticut Air National Guard's 103rd Fighter Wing took off for Kuwait.